Hi there, welcome back to the Sims Resource. Today we're going to be starting a brand new build for me. I'm going to be building a high school, so this is actually part one of the video. I was really overconfident when I started this build. I was like, oh, you guys, like, I'm gonna be able to bang this whole build out in like an hour. And I built, this is about an hour's worth of footage sped up, which I know is not like crazy. I know lots of builders go for like 4 or 5 hours at a time, but I have a I have an attention disorder, so an hour is a pretty long time for me to be building something and getting kind of frustrated before giving up. So I didn't give up, but I'm going to be doing 2 parts just to make it easier on all of us because I had to do a lot of things I'm not used to in this game. And I know that it's good to like broaden my horizons, but oh my god, it was so hard. As you can see here, I'm using terrain tools. I never used terrain tools. I think they were introduced too late into this game's lifespan for me to use them that often. And I know that I should use them more, so this kind of gave me an excuse to be like, okay, I want to use them. My high school was built on a hill. It was notoriously a very steep hill. Whenever it snowed, the buses couldn't get up it, so we had a lot of snow days. But that was kind of the inspiration here. I was like, oh, I want to make this like high school on a hill. And I don't build a lot of community lots in general because I've just, like, in the real world, a lot of buildings are just like boxes. And that's fine, because you don't usually see all the sides of them at once like you do in The Sims, but I don't like to look at Sims buildings that don't look nice aesthetically, so it really left me with some issues because I didn't want to make a big box, which is like what most high schools are, but I also didn't want it, or like, you know, a rectangle, I guess, instead of a box, but you understand what I mean. I didn't want to make a big rectangle. I wanted to make it like aesthetically pleasing. But I was kind of struggling and not making it look like a house. As you can see, I roofed it just like a house. I will be going back and redoing that. This is a lot of trial and error. If you ever want to take inspiration from the fact that I have about 5,000 hours in this game and I still don't know how to roof things. I barely know how to roof a regular house. You can take faith in that. You're always going to have something to learn and improve on. Because right now this kind of looks just like a house. Like just a big house, and honestly a pretty boxy house, but a house nonetheless. And actually what I found, and this is a pro tip for anyone else who's trying to build a big community lot that has, like, you know, rooms with important functions, like a gym and a cafeteria and a teacher's lounge and a principal's office, etc., which are all rooms that the original building had, is that you really need to start from the inside. Like, start with a pretty big box, bigger than you think you're gonna need, and then go from there. So this is what I started with, and I was like, oh, I want to do 2 staircases, because most high schools have multiple staircases. If there's an upstairs, you gotta, you know, the flow of people traffic has to, you know, flow pretty quickly. And here I am, I was like, okay, I want to make this entryway with the stairs, and then I wasn't really sure if I was like, oh, I'll make a big hallway. That's another thing that I don't usually create, because I create hallways in my Sims homes, but typically just as like kind of an upstairs like corridor where it's like, oh, there's like the opening to the stairs, and then like that itself is the hallway leading to all the bedrooms, like all the doors are off of that area. But, you know, I don't usually create builds that are big enough to have like dedicated hallway spaces, so that was a real fun thing to learn, is that I apparently don't know what to do with hallways. This is a good idea, I think. We'll see when I actually have to try like to create it in-game and have like, you know, my Sims start planting things. But I wanted to make a rooftop garden because I know that some high schools have done that. I think my high school was trying to. I think we ended up doing a regular ground garden. But it's a cool concept. I think it's pretty interesting. I think my inspiration was like a lot of like older brick schools because I just love how they look. I think too many new school builds tend to just kind of look like office buildings. And that's a little depressing because, like, you know, you're already going to school there and then you probably gotta go work in an office for the rest of your life. Like, let's have some fun. Let's do some interesting things. And I ended up going for, I think, kind of a mix of old school and new school design. Or honestly, it really just looks like most high schools from my childhood, at least. I tried to do something interesting here, and it didn't look that good. I don't know how anyone else gets these pretty, like, gabled roofs to look right. I don't even know if that's the right word, but it feels right. The roofs that can fit over the little angled areas, because I have not yet found a roof that like fits that shape perfectly, the like pentagon 3 sides of it, and it really bothers me. So this is actually when I switched gears and I decided to just do some half walls, because this is exactly how a lot of public buildings are roofed. It's just they're just flat. which, you know, is something that you don't think about in daily life. Like, you know, walking around, you don't typically think, oh yeah, that roof is just a flat layer. But it is. And so I added these little, like, almost, I want to say, like, turrets, but, like, they're kind of just little additional things. They make the building look a little bit, fancier. It reminds me of a myth that they used to have at my high school, where it's like, oh yeah, on the if you go up to the roof, that's where the swimming pool is. We didn't have a swimming pool. If that would have been cool, but we did not have a swimming pool, so that was the bit. And I was like, honestly, this is The Sims. I probably could put a swimming pool up here, but the bottom would be the entire floor below, so maybe one day. Maybe if I get into building high schools in general, I will start to add fun things like a pool on the roof. Though actually, I guess, you know what? You know where I probably got my rooftop garden from? High School Musical 3. I can't claim to have invented that, apparently, because I just love High School Musical 3. So yeah, these turrets took me a really long time for some reason. I think just getting the size and the scale right for the size of classrooms that I was putting. I went with the windows that came with the high school pack. I don't know how much I like them, but I think I think they might be a little bit too nice for, like, a public high school. So take that as you will, but they're alright. I don't know. There was another window that I really liked, but it was a little bit too, like, it was a one tile window, but like it took up like 3 slots, and I really didn't like that. So I ended up just not doing that instead. I actually have put it somewhere in the build, I'm not sure. But yeah, you know when you have like a window that you're like, oh, it's perfect, it takes up like 1 tile, and then it takes up 2, and you're like, my man, why would you do this to me? Uncool. Oh yeah, I ended up going with just 2 doors in the front to avoid having to split the middle, because it just looked like really small with 1 door. Here I am adding the brick, and at first when I was adding brick, I was like, oh, this is too much, it looks crazy, and then I was like, oh wait, this is what buildings look like. Once again, having to remember that buildings, you know, outside of The Sims look normal like this, and just having to kind of force my brain to adapt to the fact that this is just what things look like in the real world, and I need to chill. So here I am adding, I think just concrete to the, like, roofing areas that we can see. I didn't really want to do anything too crazy, and I thought about starting to add some bushes up there to make it look a little bit less sad. Then I held off because I was like, I want to do all the landscaping at one go, but I did add this big clock out front, because I don't know about you guys, but my high school had a big clock that hung, like, outside the front door, basically to tell you if you were late or not, because, you know, when you come in, like, you're running late and you're like, maybe I've made it, and if you missed the bell, it tells you exactly what time it is and exactly how much trouble you're going to be in for running late. So here I'm trying to use the terrain tools to allow me to place more tiles. It's a bit of a struggle. I'm not a terrain tool expert, as I said earlier. It's just not, I just build houses so often that I don't typically use them, and eventually I just gave up and used terrain paints, which I am very familiar with. I use them for most things. So I ended up going with that. Some of these stairs are not the same height, and I couldn't tell you why or how that happened. I think I ended up fixing it. But, like, the terrain tools in this game, with so much love, are not intuitive to me at all. But I'm also known as someone who is, like, very control challenged when it comes to most games. So it could absolutely be user error. I personally really struggle with them. But the front, I think, turned out okay. I obviously spent a long time trying to get these stairs to work, because I got a little too excited building up the mountains at the beginning and then flattening them into, like, divots in the earth and then trying to flatten the ground out again. Yeah, we had a good time playing with terrain tools. Maybe next I'll build a house, which is something I know how to build, but using terrain tools, so I won't be completely out of my depth. But I think it turned out cute, honestly. I think it'll be cute, maybe. I've been looking at different fences, and I eventually just went with the really simple fence, because I was like, there's no way this school is paying for the fancy fencing. And then I was kind of looking at different tiles for the ground, I'm pretty sure, or, yep, these are all terrain paints. I wanted to go something lighter to match the white. And then I put it out back. I figure that big back room in the back is going to be the cafeteria / gym, because they tend to do double duty in most schools. Actually, in my high school, we had a real cafeteria, and then we had a secondary cafeteria that was in the gym, so I guess we had both. Oh yeah, and then I had to flatten out this terrain because I couldn't finish placing the paint on the edge of it because it wasn't flat. Again, play with terrain tools at your own risk, kids. It was a real, fun time, Let's put it that way. Yeah, I had a bit of a time trying to figure it out, and then of course, yeah, see that fence got bent. I was going through it, but we figured it out. So, you know. Thanks for watching the build. I'll see you next time, and hopefully have a finished high school to show you. Thanks for watching. Bye.